Welcome in the arena. My name is Allison Klein, and today I am so delighted to be joined by Nikhil Tyagi. Hey, Nikhil, you run next generation technologies at Verizon Business. Will you tell me a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself to the audience to get started?
Hey, Allison, so glad to be here. And thanks for having me on the podcast. At Verizon Business, I'm heading the emerging tech covering both hardware and services innovation. One of the most exciting recent launches we had was the Verizon first branded 5G USB modem, which was built specifically for AR VR devices. So that shows like the newer emerging tech and how we are trying to live up to the definition of true edge computing model. The modem was built to make it more readily available for XR headsets so they can offload the connectivity and network intelligence to Verizon infrastructure, essentially turning Verizon into the AI connectivity layer for immersive experiences. Apart from before Verizon, I come from a deeply technical background, having spent the last decade building AI devices and some of the most ambitious companies out there. Whether it was designing the first conversational AI wearable at Humane called AI Pin, or developing the Ray-Ban stories, which became very popular these days at Meta, or even contributing to the early architecture of Vision Pro at Apple. One important was Tesla, where I was working on autopilot connectivity. And my work has all been at the intersection of AI, hardware, and real world constraints. Finally, now at Verizon, we are trying to scale the vision across industries from immersive consumer experiences to mission critical enterprise deployments.
You know, Nikhil, we talk a lot at Tech Arena about the development of LLMs and spend a lot of time on data center implementations. But I was so excited to talk to you because you've been really on the cutting edge of application of AI in so many different areas. As an AI practitioner, what are some of the exciting developments that you're seeing in AI that will influence how you're currently working to deliver solutions at Verizon Business?
There's a lot of momentum in the AI space right now, Allison.
Mhm.
And especially when it comes to how intelligence can be brought closer to the user. Across the industry, in enterprises and businesses, we are seeing this major shift from cloud first philosophy to AI at the edge. And that has become very popular term these days. This has opened up some really exciting opportunities. And I'll be talking about that. One such area is advancing use of on device small language models, or SLMs, for real time privacy conscious interactions. These models are getting compact enough to run directly on consumer and enterprise devices, which means businesses can now enable faster, more secure AI responses without relying on constant cloud access, which
Mhm.
includes latency essentially. I know it sounds sci-fi, but
Mhm.
another trend gaining a lot of traction is multimodal AI, where you're combining the language and vision in the same pipeline. And we are starting to see this in real products. So remember, I was talking about the Ray-Ban stories.
Yeah.
That is one of the early step in the direction. Glasses that can understand voice commands, but can also capture visuals from the environment. So yesterday I was in New York City and I was walking with my wife and we saw this building. I was wearing the Ray-Ban stories and she just asked, "What is this building?" We were close to World Trade Center and this was a newer building. I asked Meta, look at the glasses. What am I looking at? And the glasses told me it's the Freedom Tower. So
Mhm.
this sort of nature of talking conversational AI and the visuals make the multimodal impact.
With AI evolving so rapidly, what do you see as the most pressing challenges for AI practitioners when implementing AI solutions in real world environments like what you've described?
That's a great question. And that one of the questions that stays top of my mind for regarding a lot of teams who are building AI beyond the lab. Across Tesla's FSD program, which was launched initially, and now in the world of XR wearables, there is a truth that stands out. Getting AI to perform in the lab is very different compared to how it performs in the wild out there. So, to make it more objective and understandable, first, we are seeing real limitations at the edge. Things like limited memory, compute, and thermal budgets. It's one thing to run a model in the cloud, but it becomes completely different when you're deploying it on a wearable or a battery powered XR headset, for instance. Secondly, there's the challenge of contextual awareness, getting AI to understand not just input data, but the environment it's operating in. And another big one is model robustness. How do you ensure that the performance holds up in messy real world conditions? In industrial mobile settings, nothing is perfect. Data can be noisy, inputs are unpredictable, and failure models are costly. And finally, there is a big gap what works in research and what holds up in deployment. A model that performs great on benchmarks might struggle when exposed to edge or shifting data distributions in the field. And I have seen this firsthand across wearables, automotive, and XR. So I think the key is building infrastructure and feedback loops that help practitioners close the research to reality gap faster.
One question that I have for you, when you look at the rise of all of the different tools and capabilities that are at play, how do you and your team approach selecting the right tools for the specific AI use cases that you're targeting and the business needs that they drive at the edge?
Alison, this is definitely a tricky one. There is definitely no one size fits all theory here in AI tooling.
Mhm.
So the starting point is always going to be the use case. Are we optimizing for latency or privacy, or we just talked about multimodal inputs, or we're talking about offline resilience? The context drives everything. At the edge, I can give you an example, is we look for lightweight modular frameworks that can operate under power or memory constraints. You can think of Onyx or TensorRT or distillation ready toolchains. For dynamic user flows, you can look like in the field of XR, like we were talking about the human pin or any other XR devices, network adaptive runtimes that can switch between on device, edge, or cloud inference are quintessential. You have to have that. I also think a lot about deployability at scale. It's not just about picking a model, it's about choosing tools that support observability, fleet wide updates, and retraining. That matters whether you're managing thousands of connected wearables or smart infrastructure in the field. Ultimately, the best tool is the one that aligns with the business goals, respects the deployment environment, and can evolve with the product. That's how I frame it. And increasingly, that's where the industry is heading to.
You're going to be speaking at AI Infra Summit, and we are media sponsors of the event. I'm really looking forward to your session. What can attendees expect to hear from you, and why is it important to set the tone of your talk at this moment in terms of the future of AI infrastructure?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the summit as well. It's a great forum to talk not just about where AI is going, but how we get there and how we get there at scale. I'll be sharing insights from working across some of the most demanding AI deployment environments, whether that was Tesla's autopilot systems, Meta Ray-Ban stories, or more recently, XR and 5G connected devices at Verizon. For anyone who has ever yelled at a voice assistant, I hope you have done that too, Allison.
I have some very weird relationships with both Siri and Alexa. Yes.
I do not name anyone, but my talk will focus on how small language models and multimodal AI are redefining what's possible on the edge. So the problem you had with voice assistants were tied somewhere to the SLMs or somewhere to the edge. And the more importantly, what kind of infrastructure we need to support to make some things better. From adaptive inference strategies to AI native device design or network aware runtimes. It's going to be complex, but I'll try to streamline, and I want to talk and help shift the conversation from how big can we build the model, which is relatively getting easier with the newer tools in AI and developments, but shifting it to how smart and responsive can we make it so everywhere the user is becomes a novel term. And it's this lies back to the voice assistants that we were talking about. It becomes easily deployable, it becomes easy to use. So if you're thinking about AI beyond the data center, whether that's in wearables, vehicles, frontline devices, or low power environments, my session will be a deep dive into what's working, what's breaking, and where we go from here.
Now, looking forward, and this is such a hard question because of the speed of AI development. What do you foresee as the biggest challenges in both the development of real solutions on AI and infrastructure in the coming months and years, and how can they be overcome by working together?
See, as AI becomes more integrated into everyday devices and workflows, I think one of the biggest challenges will be scaling real world deployment reliably. We are moving fast on model capabilities, but the infrastructure often struggles to keep up, especially outside the cloud. All the use cases, and that's a reason why there is so much push on the infrastructure after a really long time in the industry. One key issue is fragmentation between model formats, tool chains, and hardware targets that makes it hard to standardize the deployment. We will we will need more interoperable end-to-end stacks that are built with edge and mobility in mind when we talk about the infrastructure.
Mhm.
Another challenge which has always existed is resilience. We are building something new. How resilient we want to make it look like. We have seen, to give you a reference, a funny one, we in the power of this media and YouTube and the marketing, we have all seen the AI demo that looks great, but until you take it out of the lab.
Right.
In the lab, models are stable, and we in this podcast we have talked about it earlier too. Uh, but in the field, things break. Your sensors will fail, your connections will drop, your environments will shift, your enterprise verticals are different. So we need that infra that will dynamically help AI adapt and degrade gracefully, not just optimize for peak performance. And finally, there's a growing need for context awareness at scale. The next wave of AI won't just respond, it will need to understand where it's running, what the user is doing, and how the environment is changing. So, overcoming overall these challenges will take more than the model innovation. It will require more collaboration between AI, infra, hardware, and product teams to design systems that are smarter, smaller, and more human aware.
Now, from your perspective, such an interesting time in the industry, and the mindsets and skills of what will drive the future might not be reflective of what mindsets and skills drove the past. what do you see are the important skills of AI practitioners um, that that are required to stay ahead in this rapidly changing field?
Again, like a great question. I think the most important mindset right now is systems thinking. The
Hmm.
ability to see beyond the model and understand how AI fits into the larger product, user experience, and the stack overall. Tech, and this is not new. The systems has always existed, and there has been always evolved around the systems, but technically it helps to be grounded in the fundamentals, the model architecture, optimization, deployment pipelines. What really sets people apart is knowing how to make trade-offs.
Sure.
So the examples from the AI pin or the Ray-Ban stories or any future XR products that are coming out, the accuracy versus latency or power versus performance or model size versus updatability, those decisions will shape real world success. Practitioners will also need to get comfortable with cross functional collaboration more
Mm.
than ever.
Yeah.
AI cannot live in isolation anymore. uh, there has been such a big divide in the last 20 years or so where someone said, "Oh, I only work on software. Oh, I only work on hardware. I'm only a networks guy. I work for legal. Oh, I'm a marketing person." I think, or I do research.
Hmm.
AI is making that isolation go away. We are not on our own islands anymore. So the better adaptability or the skill sets will be communication and product intuition. That will matter as much as how you code or how you design the hardware. Finally, I would say is stay curious. The space is moving incredibly fast.
Yeah.
And if anyone, you or me, we are staying open to the learning and these we are doing these experiments often, focusing on solving these real problems will become easier.
It's interesting. It's almost as you've described this, there's a wonderful blend of tech knowledge as well as just human knowledge that will come together and form the next delivery of innovation. And we live in wonderful times
Right.
and unparalleled times, Nikhil. I'm so glad that you were on the show today telling us about what you've been delivering and what you'll continue to deliver at Verizon Business. Um, I'm sure that folks are going to want to engage with you further. For our listeners that would like to learn about some of the ideas that you've talked about today and connect with you, where can they do so?
This is easy, I think,
I'm glad
compared
I
to
asked
the
you
other.
one easy question.
Yes. For folks who are interested in enterprise connectivity and edge AI, you can check out verizon.com/.
Mhm.
We are doing some exciting work around 5G, XR, intelligence, edge solutions there. If you want to dive deeper into the infrastructure side of things, I recommend keeping an eye on the AI Infra Summit website
Yeah.
for upcoming speaker sessions, technical content, and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to chat. I mentor, I work with other startups, and I'm in this space for a while. So, more than happy to talk there.
Nikhil, it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to see your session in September. And for those who are following the AI Infra Summit, we have an entire series of practitioner um, podcasts coming out, and we'll be at the show driving all of the coverage of news from the show and connecting with all of these great practitioners once again. So thank you so much for your time, Nikhil. It's been a pleasure.
Great. Thank you, Allison.